welcome to Philadelphia Walks PTSD. My name is Sharon Cole, or Sharon, or Cole, whatever you want to refer to me as. No big deal. As I always say, in a good way, I don't care. Rat, pig, horse, squirrel, cow, hippo, rhino, dinosaur, and lizard. Those are my two favorites, especially having become a yogi and everything else. And there's an actual lizard pose in yoga. But anyway, these words may mean something to certain people in certain groups, and one group thinks it means this, one group thinks it means that. Whatever. No big deal. I am here for my usual stick, and of course, sticks and stones, or my usual shtick, and sticks and stones don't break my bones. Oh wait, sticks and stones might break bones, but words will never hurt me. Whatever. Anyway, I'm here on day, whatever it is, 92 on my one video each day, 365-day campaign, raising money for a very serious thing that began in January of 2011. I was made to believe I'd be murdered in my apartment by an orchestrated series of events. I'm sure there are some people who would say, well, say seeming orchestrated series of events. No, it was an orchestrated series of events. And whoever is sitting behind all of that as a coward has gotten away with basically a form of murder. So far. It was so bad, I was trembling, convulsing, wondering what the hell was going on, believing someone was coming up from the basement of the row home that I lived in, which was converted to apartments, up to my apartment, which was just above the basement in the front of the row home. And I thought I thought someone was going to key into my apartment and kill me. There was no other way in or out except for that door. It was a very small shoebox of apartment, bars on the windows and everything because it was on the first floor, and no back windows or anything. I became very aware of this while trying to figure out how to kind of get out of my apartment. And I realized I'm trapped in here and blah, 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 and so forth and so on. So anyway, and if that weren't enough, the games commenced after that. And every moron who's part of a special evil club or a special, oh, we play games, we play tricks, we think we're superior club, walked around the city, playing all kinds of games, tricks, even clients who I walk dogs for, which could feel like a human trafficking. In a way, there's a good argument that I was human trafficked through dog walking, which was supposed to be a temporary job fix. And I had already had plans to move to the Pacific Northwest. I was very seriously had a whole idea in my mind of how to get there. Instead, I got walloped the fourth Monday of January 2011. I was made aware under no uncertain terms, your life will now be like this. You will have to adapt to these changes. My life changed on a dime. That's it. It is one of those stories where, right quick, you thought you were going over here? Nope, you're going over here. Someone took control right quick, and not in a good way. I guess to march out all his minions, all his Satan puppets or what have you. And in that whole surreal, bizarre experience going on, I was so hypervigilant, I could hear for 5 miles. In that experience, something very odd happened. A lot of odd things happened, but one of them was, and least of which is that we had a state of emergency in effect because of the blizzards and ongoing snowstorms, one after the other, 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 after the other. We had snow. Other areas of the country this year are getting snow that we got in 2011. And sometimes people forget. I will never forget. In fact, it's memorialized in my book, Duplicity and Duress, Not Factories in the Making. But one of the things that came up while I was walking around, walking dogs for people, even during the state of emergency, was that people from my past must have doppelgangers or lookalikes or what have you. There were people walking around the city during the snowstorm and also later that looked like people I dated or were friends with. And it's like, oh my gosh, is that Tom? Blah, blah, blah. If that would be Tom if he went through an AA meeting and cleaned up himself and got married. And now, before he was kind of he was kind of the black sheep of the family and so forth and so on. And now he's, cleaned up and everything. And this is what it looks like now to be on the other side of darkness, if you say. It was kind of that implication. This guy was getting out of a car carrying a briefcase, and I was like, oh my gosh, it looks just like Tom, if like a much improved Tom, kind, you know, all cleaned up and mature, as opposed to most people on Earth. Technically, there is no super maturity, it turns out. I've looked high and low and whatever. So anyway, on another occasion, I would run with a runner from the Front Runners, a gay running group here, who I started running with prior to 2011. I kind of slowed down on the running with them, but after being terrorized in my apartment, I ran into one of the runners who was like, well, do you want to run with me? And in a way, it was helpful to me to have someone to run with. I felt less alone and felt connected to someone, and I needed that sense of security, in addition to just staying in shape, and it worked out all the anxiety and everything. So I was running with him on the Riverwalk, and all kinds of crazy things would happen. But one of them would be I saw an old high school-ish boyfriend, and it would be as if all of a sudden he took up serious like bike racing, the kind where you click in your shoes and you're on like a special racing-ish bike with a helmet. And I'm like, and he too seemed to have gone through an AA meeting and totally cleaned up his act. And now, working for, say, JP Morgan or a major bank or what have you, now he was all of a sudden he grew up. It would be like all of a sudden these people grew up. And it's like, oh, now see the new and improved Brian, the new and improved Tom, who you used to know years and years and years ago. So this kept happening. And then later, I would come to communicate with someone who sometimes helped me understand like maybe what was going on, or like how to navigate around all the craziness in the city. And she knows what it is, this person named Elizabeth. And she knows it does exist. It's a real thing. And it's hard to explain how it happens or what these people are believing and so forth and so on. But anyway, all of a sudden, crop, popping up like turtles all over the place. People who looked like Elizabeth, and she could kind of be like a female Chris Farley from Saturday Night Live. Just imagine like a million Chris Farleys all of a sudden pop up all over the place. I think that's his name, the heavyset guy with the blonde hair who's had all that angst or energy or whatever, and that would be like part of his humor. All over the place, people with dirty blonde hair, squatty, short, and mostly men. But the way they were walking, I knew they were supposed to resemble Elizabeth because it has to do with energy also. And it's like, there's another Elizabeth, there's another Elizabeth, there's another Elizabeth, there's another Elizabeth. I would go in the supermarket, there's another and some of these people would file in line like right behind me or in front of me or what have you. And there's another Elizabeth, there's another Elizabeth. And later it would come out, this would be another tactic, but later it would come out that Elizabeth might have started dating an Asian person, say. We'll just give that example. And this is right around the time that the Pope was going to visit Philadelphia. So I tried to like logically think why there were a million more Asians than ever before on my path. So here in Philadelphia, I started feeling sad, like Elizabeth started dating someone, and I really cared about Elizabeth and sort of would have been kind of jealous in a sense, either friend-wise or otherwise. But even from a friend standpoint, it's like, meaning I wanted to be the closest one, to this person because she helped me so much. But I would walk around, go to dog walks, and there would be all these Asian women out here. And of course, Asian women tend to be, what do I want to say, sexualized in a way, or the exotic Asian woman idea. So it would be like, oh, she's with this kind of person, not you, the boring, So, and I looked quite different. My hair is not blonde or light at all. I naturally have dark hair, and I also had short hair back then. I'd gone through the LGBT community and everything. I still identify to an extent, but someone took the chip out so that I won't really experience love the same way as maybe in the past. I think it's to spare me the misery of the games that these people play, the spider bites, the love bites, the what have you. It's a lot of people, conspiracy theorists who look into this type of thing, kind of know that if you wind up targeted in a certain way, It's possible they will send people out on purpose to seduce you only to drop you like a hot potato. So you will constantly, you'll never really be able to have the relationship that you saw other people having, um, because you are simply, I don't know if it's not programmed, or other people are programmed to actually wind up in marriages, maybe procreate, maybe have long marriages, and they don't even know how it got there. Like if you really think about it, people might put in work into their relationships, but in essence, in some people's cases, especially if it looks too perfect, they don't even know really how it happened. So it's one way of looking at the world. But anyway, so everywhere I went, even up to the concierge of a building, I'm walking into a building to walk a dog named Cody, a Yorkshire Terrier, who at times even had the essence of Elizabeth because of the way the hair on the Yorkshire Terrier was. I was like, oh my God, even the dog looks like Elizabeth. But a woman came up, an Asian woman came up, and kind of, I felt like she might have played the game a little bit, but I don't know that she would have known that she was part of like a million other people who were supposed to look like the new lover or girlfriend of Elizabeth. I don't know that she would have known that, but it was bizarre. So in my mind, I'm like, well, the Pope is coming. And I know that a lot of people, at least in China, I guess Japan, I have whatever. But point being, I know that a lot of Chinese are often more Christian in nature, or celebrate Christianity. And maybe the population was higher because of the Pope coming in. So people would be more interested in coming to Center City for this. So that's how I logically thought about that one. But the point being, the Tom instance, the Brian instance, Liz, and then Liz, the idea of Liz's new girlfriend popping up all over the place, along my dog walks, along my running path while I'm running with someone, biking, shopping, what have you. Somehow these people are timed, orchestrated. And I did begin to wonder, I swear to God, it was this bad. Are they actually actual local actors or whatever, and they're looking for whatever gig, and there was a listing on Craigslist like, hey, we'll pay you to walk around the city of it. We need you to look like Chris Farley. I wondered if some of these people actually sat down with some cheap, tawdry director of life and, got paid $20, $30, $40, $50 to walk around the city where they were told to walk. I actually wondered if people auditioned for those positions at some point, because that's how weird it got. And it's like I had to keep working and working and try to keep my brain calm, cool, and not be sad or agitated. But can you imagine, say you're married for 20, 30 years and someone else comes in and takes your spouse, and then all of a sudden for an entire year, the lookalikes of the new partner or spouse or what have you of your ex are walking around all over the place to remind you and rub it in that you wound up in a divorce or what have you. That would be incredibly painful. That's basically what happened here in Philadelphia. Or to make people who were not so healthy, like old boyfriends who had drinking problems or this, that, kind of drinking or depression problems or what have you, to make them look like they all of a sudden, oh, look, 15 years has gone by. Guess what happened to Tom? Guess what happened? They're totally, new and improved all over the place, walking around. You'll get, in a way, the Tom one kind of made it seem like it's okay, keep going. You'll get there. You'll be like me in the end of whatever this is. So anyway, that's it. Just wrapping it up here on April 2nd. So have a great day. I do wonder if people actually got paid to walk around the streets or if people actually auditioned for certain performances here in Philadelphia, just to drive someone crazy. Okay, thank you so much, and have a great Sunday.